All right, so my brain fog is really bad today, and I thought, why not record a vlog today? So honestly, I just don't want to forget things. I had 2 procedures done yesterday. One was a cardiac MRI and the other was an echo with bubbles. And I want to record a vlog on both of these procedures because they were very unique, and I think that anyone going into these procedures or having any interest in these procedures, it's helpful to have a patient's perspective to know what you're going into. Or if you're just along for the ride, you get to hear me share an interesting story. So in today's vlog, I'm going to talk about the cardiac MRI, and then in next week's vlog, I'm going to talk about this echo with bubbles. I have had so many MRIs done in the past, right? I have had probably almost every body part done, with, without contrast, etc. But this one was so new to have a cardiac MRI. It is the most, at least they told me, the techs told me, and they were all so sweet. This was a new location I went to. The techs told me that this was the most in-depth and lengthy MRI that they do. Of course, right? So I went in being like, oh, probably 40 minutes at the longest. No, it was probably like an hour. You go in and they have you obviously fill out a bunch of forms being like, do you have any metal in your body? There's 1,000 ways to ask, do you have any metal in your body, right? Like if you had any injury where metal's gone in your eye, have you ever been shot with a BB gun? They ask you 1,000 different things on this form, which I swear to God, I've already filled out online, but then you have to fill it out again in person, right? Then they take you in, you get a gown, you change out of your clothes, put a gown on, you get to keep your underwear on, but you gotta change out of everything else. And I wear a mask everywhere I go because I'm COVID cautious. So what they'll do is they'll give me a mask without the nose piece in it when I get into the room, which is so sweet. And everybody was so nice this time. Last time I had an MRI a couple months ago, if you watched that video, they gave me such a hard time. She was like, well, I'll have to go see if we even have one, and then like I'll have to cut this piece out and blah blah blah. And they were so sweet yesterday. Granted, it was like 8 in the morning. It was so early. I had to get there at 8, so I got up so freaking early. I'm not a morning person, so it really honestly was not a good day for me having to get up so early. And then I had these 2 procedures, and I also had physical therapy later that day, and I had to release my vlog last night, and I had to switch houses between my parents. It was a very, very long day, so no wonder my eyes are trying to close on their own. I'm very tired today. Also, 2 days ago, I cut my hair, so it is really hard to keep it in a position, and we're still learning how to style it, so bear with me. So anyway, got in the gown, had to wait a little bit for them to prepare the room, and mine was, I don't know if all cardiac MRIs, but I had contrast. So one of the first things they did was put an IV in. Before I even went into the room with the MRI, he took me into like a room. They put an IV in, and they actually take a blood sample and they test something. I don't remember what it is. He didn't tell me this time, but at the last MRI they did this as well, and I can't remember what they tested for, but they do a little bit of blood work to make sure that you're all good to go. And once you've been cleared there, you go into the room, and they were just so sweet. For the cardiac MRI, they had to put on these EKG leads on my chest, and they were like, we're gonna, because it was 2 men. One was like the nurse tech and the other one was the MRI tech, and they were like, we're gonna go find a female tech, we'll be right back. And so they went, they found a female tech, she put the leads on, everybody was so sweet. Then they get you all set up. And I specifically, because if you watched my last video about MRIs, you know that last time I had an MRI triggered migraine. And it was so bad. First of all, because they played really loud music. She didn't give me an option for music or no music. She was just like, what kind of music do you want to listen to last time? And of course, with my autism, I have a really hard time advocating for myself. But this time, you all are gonna be so proud of me. I advocated for myself. I said, actually, I have migraines triggered by sound, and if it's possible to not have any music, I would actually prefer that. And they were like, totally fine. They were very shocked that I said that, so they said several times, even while I was in the MRI, they were like, have you changed your mind about the music? And I was like, nope. And they were like, okay. It was very sweet. So they actually gave me little foam like ear things to put in, and then also on top the noise canceling headphones as well. So they were so sweet, and they put them in my ears themselves. I think by that time I had my IV in, and they'd already given me they give you like this round ball that if you need to stop or you need their attention for any reason at any time, you squeeze the ball. I think like my right arm had the IV in it, and then this was in my other hand, and so they were like, oh, we'll just put it in your ear. They were so sweet. So anyway, they're like little busy bees around you, and they also gave me a warm blanket, which was so nice. So I had this warm blanket on, and then they basically put this, like, I talked about this the last time because I think it was an MRI on my head. They put like a cage over my head. So they put this like cage over your chest. It must somehow like enhance the imaging or something, but they put this cage like over my chest, and they got the IV all set up. So last time they had to put the IV in, and I wasn't allowed to move. So when they pulled me in and out, they were like, you cannot move at all. We're gonna put the, you know, contrast in, and then they put you back in. This time it was all automated. They did not come into the room until the very end. It was incredible. And this machine looked brand new. I walked in and I literally said to the tech, I was like, wow, that looks like a new machine. And he was like, well, it's 2 years old. And I was like, well, it looks brand new. And he was like, I keep it very clean. So I think he was very proud of himself with what he did to keep this MRI sparkling, brand spanking new looking. So what the machine would do once they put me in is it would give you instructions, and when they're actually doing the MRI, so when the sound is going, is mostly when you're holding your breath, which I was completely unprepared for. I should have done more research before I came into this MRI, right? Oh my gosh. And it's really difficult because I have breathing issues, and lying flat on my back is my worst breathing position. And most of the time the prompt would be something like, you know, inhale and hold your breath. And then you'd have to and hold it for about 20 seconds. And then they would give you some time to like catch your breath. And I would just be kind of air hungry, like trying to catch my breath after holding it for that long. So that was the toughest part for me. I got in a little bit of a rhythm towards the end, and I felt a little bit better about it, but it was really difficult to just have to concentrate on that, because if you didn't do that, they would have to redo those images. But they said I did a really good job, and I'm not sure that they had to redo any images, which was great. But that's why it takes so long, because most MRIs are just going continuously, is my understanding. And this one, the sounds were only going like while you were holding your breath. So most of the imaging was done while you were holding your breath. But most of it, like I said, was usually only like about 20 seconds of holding your breath. There were 2 times where he was like, it's gonna be 26 seconds. And that one, those were a little bit special. They had you inhale and then hold your breath for, I counted 30 seconds, but whatever, 26. And then a couple seconds later, they had you exhale and hold your breath for 30 seconds. And so those were a little bit special, but usually it was 20 seconds or less. Sometimes it was 16 seconds, sometimes it was 10. The machine would just be making a lot of different noises as you were doing these, you know, breath holding exercises. So that was really, really fascinating. I had only done regular MRIs up until this point, so I never had to do, like, I guess maybe a couple times I had to do breathing stuff, but only like once or twice during an MRI. It wasn't like the whole time, but it really wasn't that bad because the sound wasn't continuous and it really wasn't that loud. The machine was so good that it wasn't shaking, and I really think this is like bad. But last time, as you all know if you watch a video, I was physically shaking a lot for several times during the MRI, and this time I felt it a little bit on my arm for some reason. Something must have been pressing against my arm where I could feel the shaking, but other than that, it was honestly a really, really good experience. And they're, you know, communicating through speakers in your headphones. They also have a camera right above your head, so they can keep an eye on you and watch you. I just have my eyes closed the whole time because it's easier for me to concentrate on getting through the procedure. But he was so sweet. He would check in, he'd be like, honey, how you doing? Are you okay? What a sweetie. Like, honestly, he was just the nicest. So anyway, yeah, it was a really good experience. And then only for probably the last less than 20 minutes did you actually have contrast put in. So interesting, because when they put saline through, you can smell it and taste it a little bit, but the contrast, it's funny because CT contrast, you feel like you're peeing yourself. MRI contrast, I did not feel like I was peeing myself. I feel, you know, you just feel kind of a little weird, a little off, a little warm in certain places, but all of that is normal. And this time, the key to what I did differently this time versus last time when I reacted to the MRI contrast and had kind of hives on my chest afterward is my immunologist suggested take your Allegra I'm on Allegra every night for my weird skin itching that we don't know what it's from. He said, take your Allegra like maybe that morning. So right before, you know, because it was 8 a.m. So right before when I had a little bit to eat and I took an Allegra. I've never taken it in the morning. I did not eat enough with the Allegra, so I was quite nauseous the whole time, unfortunately. So when I heard I was gonna be spending an hour in there, I was like, ooh, fingers crossed I don't vomit. But I did drink a little bit of water right before I went in, and I think that helped. But yeah, the Allegra I think really helped. I did not have a hive rash reaction from the contrast this time. I only had a reaction from the EKG patches that were, they had one here and then the rest were under my left boob, and I did react to that. I think it's like mostly gone. There's a little redness right here, but it's not too bad. So that was really exciting that I did not react to the contrast this time, because I was nervous about that. And then yeah, you do several more images like with the contrast at the very end, but it's really not that bad. And then they scoot you out, and he couldn't find the female tech. She was like busy with the patient, so he was like, you can actually take them off. Basically they were like little clamps that clamp onto the nodes. So he was like, you basically just unclamp them and then you rip off the, you know, adhesive patches that are under them. So I did that, and they were so sweet. Like they were taking everything off me as fast as they could, and they were all checking in being like, was it okay? I'm not sure how often they do a cardiac MRI, so I think that they think that it's like a really horrible experience because you're in there for so much longer. But honestly, like I said, wasn't that bad because it wasn't continuous sound the whole time, and I did not have a migraine trigger this time, thank God. And not playing music really helped. It really wasn't that crazy of an experience, and you have to be still for the inhale. The only time he was like, okay, we're gonna hold your breath for a really long time for those 26 to 30 second ones. If you need to let it out, try to let the breath out as slowly as you possibly can, but other than that, you're not really supposed to move when you do the shorter inhales. So that was the biggest part, was just really try not to move then. But for traditional MRIs, you cannot move for like the whole time. So I felt that this one was honestly a lot better than a lot of the other ones that I have done, and I was honestly so grateful for the team being such a positive experience. Like they were so sweet, and that can make all the difference, is just having really sweet techs who you know you're in good hands, and they make it easy to ask questions or to advocate for yourself. That is huge, because if you have techs that are really pushing back, like last time when they were like, oh, like I'll see if I can find a mask, there are a couple other things that happened too, then it's much harder for me to advocate for myself, and I don't feel like it's as open for me to be like, yeah, could I like actually not listen to music at all? So it was such a better experience this time. And yeah, that was my experience with a cardiac MRI. Thank goodness my results already came back, which is crazy because last time they took more than a week, and it actually messed up my whole appointment, and I ended up not having my appointment because they did not come back in time. But this time they came back within less than 24 hours and everything was normal with my heart, which is very exciting. It's good news, bad news, right? My mom says this because it's good news that nothing is wrong, but bad news that they haven't found what is causing my symptoms. I guess I should have said this at the very beginning, but the reason I was there was because I have chest pressure that gets better when I lean forward. And so that was what they were trying to explore and trying to figure out what might be going on. Is it something cardiac or is it more pulmonary? So anyway, we did not find anything, which was really exciting. But yeah, in the next video, I'm gonna talk about my experience with an echo with bubbles, which was crazy. And so I'll see you in the next video, my friends. Bye.